online. Now we are online. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to our very nice and small live stream we are doing today. I am Tobi. Most of you know me already, but today with me is Martin.
Hey guys,
Martin Ziegler, one of
now
our
Welcome,
technical directors, and I hear myself because I have the sound on the other computer, but now it's done. And today we want to show you again Kingdom Come, obviously, but, and that's a nice thing, we will show you something you maybe didn't saw before, because this is a very special build we created for the E3, but saying that it's for E3 is not right. So it's something we were working on, we were showing it on E3 in Los Angeles 1 month ago.
Yep.
And it's something you can't see in the beta yet, but you might see this, of course, in the final game. And what you can see already there is the monastery, the Sazava monastery, which is something you might even know if you are from Czech Republic, so you can visit this place actually, and it's in our game. So, but first, what have happened at Warhorse? So as I said, we were at Los Angeles in the E3. The results were very good, as far as I can say. We met a lot of people, we had a small community party there, a lot of media. We showed the game and people were very interested in it, which is a very good thing. And now today we want to share it with you. Another thing is, which what you might maybe already notice, that on our YouTube channel we published a video, recently released a new video. It's called Armor and RPG. So we are showing the armor system, the RPG system of Kingdom Come Deliverance, and this live stream today will talk about it as well. So you can see, or we will explain a bit what you have seen there. And yeah, but first, Martin, maybe you introduce yourself. Who are you? Why are you here with me?
I don't know. Well, all right. I'm Martin, as Tobi said. I'm working here as one of the technical designers. My responsibilities are mostly the systems related to the open world part of the game. So I'm collaborating closely with the AI team and with our team of technical designers. We're creating the behaviors for the NPCs in the game. We try to make the mechanics and rules of the game most fun for you guys to play. So I'm here today, I guess, to be able to explain to you sort of behind the scenes of how things that you could have played in the beta actually work under the hood, and answer any questions that you might have as well as I can.
I have a question, but because that's something that a lot of people, young people especially, and students are asking us, is how you became a game, or how you can become a game developer per se.
Sure.
So because you have a quite interesting story, so maybe.
All right. Well, obviously that's a question that a lot of people ask of anybody who's working in the game industry. So my advice to people who are trying to get into the game industry would be to actually just start practicing the skill that you want to focus on. So there's a lot of professions that you can do in the gaming industry. So obviously you probably have something particular in mind. Maybe you want to be a programmer, maybe you want to be a designer or a visual artist. So I think that the gaming industry, generally speaking, is a very practical field. So nobody really cares very much about how you learned the skills that you have. Everybody just needs somebody who can deliver and do the job that needs to be done at the moment. And it's always very practical tasks every day. So as with any practical skill, I think that the best thing that you can do is just start practicing. So if you want to be a visual artist, just start painting. If you want to be a programmer, just start coding. Anything that will help you learn. If you want to be a designer, then and a lot of people, I think that most of the people that ask me these questions want to be designers, because they don't really have a particular skill, but they want to come up with ideas for games. So I think just start designing games, like maybe a board game if you can't program, a card game or a dice game.
And we should start play our game actually, but first we drink from our very cool.
All right, let's do that.
Kingdom Come
swag.
mugs. Yes, very good. If you go on our homepage kingdomcomerpg.com and to our beautiful shop, you get these awesome mugs, which are unfortunately not filled with beer right now, but well.
But yours isn't, maybe.
You tricked me again. And we have something, well, that's something we are also doing. We are expanding our t-shirts
Ah,
shirts.
right.
And this
At least you get the cooler t-shirt.
awesome part is something that might appear in near future. So this is the first prototype of an awesome piece of swag. But let's stop talking. Let's start playing it. I have to let's be a bit smaller, Martin. We are too big for this screen.
It's not about us.
It's not about us. Size matters, right? So let's start. What can we see here? We are here now. Don't mind this very funny cap on top. We are here right now in the parts of the
Outskirts of the
on the
Sazava
outskirts of
Monastery.
the outskirts monastery, but we are here in the final game pretty much already. This is part of the big quest you have to do in Kingdom Come Deliverance. So you have here the monastery, and the thing is that we don't want to spoil too much here because this is a very important part of the story. But we want to tell you about the questing and RPG system in general, about this monastery, for example, and how you can do things here. And the very interesting thing is those two guys here, for example. So maybe you can say something about the quest.
Sure. So we don't want to spoil too much of the story for you, obviously. But this is someone who is supposed to enter the Sazava Monastery, which you can see behind, and that's something that you very much want to do at this point of the story. So you basically need to infiltrate the monastery because that was always a private place and a very closed place where it wasn't easy to get.
And that's actually a really good point because, as you know, we have a full-time historian in our team, and Dan, our creative director, wanted to have this monastery inside this game, but she was shouting, "No way you could ever ever enter the monastery!"
Yeah.
So we had to come up with reasonable ideas why you actually
Yeah,
came
exactly.
there.
Yeah. Because it's such a cool place, as you can see just from looking at it from behind, and it looks very stunning from the inside. But as Tobi was saying, we had to sort of come up with a reason for you to be able to enter the monastery, because that was something that people, except for the monks, weren't able to do. So we had to solve that story-wise, but I think that we did. Hopefully, we did a great job with that. So now we're at the point of the story where we sort of are trying to come up with a way to enter the monastery, and this guy that we have just seen might be able to help us with that.
Yes, because that's very interesting. What's happening here is that we have to find a bad guy, and this bad guy is hiding inside this monastery. And the only things we know is pretty much that he has a scar on his face, but that's it. So we don't know anything about him. We don't know how he looks like. We don't know how his name is. Nothing. And we have to get inside. So now it's about. Well, you ask yourself, how could I get inside? You could. Well, take your sword and kill them all. Kill all the monks inside, and one of them is the right guy, right? So just kill them, and it's okay.
Or just kill the one with the scar.
But then the thing is that they will throw you out if you just enter it.
Things are obviously going to get ugly.
Yes, if you just enter it without permission, they will kick you out. There's some kind of monk police inside. Then there's a second option: just do the sneaky game.
Sure.
This works as well, so you can use the knights. You use the knight. You can use the proper equipment, like a hood or something dark. Sneak inside the monastery. Try to find the right guy and kill him with a sneaky attack from behind. But the problem is that you can't talk to anyone, so you have to find that guy in the night, in the beds,
without being seen.
So it's a very hard, tough job, and we are currently working a lot on the stealth system in the company. And the third way is actually with those two guys drinking beer. We saw them before. One of them is supposed to go inside the monastery because his father wants him to become a monk, but he doesn't want to. But he has a bodyguard with him. So this poor fellow who is supposed to be become a monk has a piece of paper which has the word something like, "Here I am Karl, I have to go into the monastery because of something." So a kind of permission list, and we have to get this from him. So and there again several ways how to get it. So
so that's that's a pretty good example of the several approaches to solving the main quest line. So for example, as Tobi was saying, right here. You might be sort of the story way is to interact with these guys, and basically you need to distract the bodyguard that's supposed to supervise the guy that's supposed to enter the monastery as a punishment. He doesn't want to really. So if you're able to distract the bodyguard, which you can do just through talking to the right people, setting up the right situation, you might be able to get the writ that Tobi was talking about, and that might allow you to enter the monastery. And that's sort of the most detailed part of the gameplay. But if you want to leverage the open world mechanics of the game that we have, so that's just the stealth gameplay or maybe just the confrontational combat gameplay, we want to support that as well. So you might be able to do that. And it's obviously more difficult, but if you manage, that's an absolutely proper way to progress the storyline.
So here we are in the front of the monastery right now. So all the buildings we are running through, you are wondering if this is some kind of village. No, it's not, because today there's actually a city. Well, yes, but back then these were kind of, let's say, economic buildings, because monasteries were something like small cities back then, or small villages. So they were producing their own goods, their own wine, food, whatever. So these buildings all belong pretty much to the monastery. And we are wandering around it. Here we can see the monastery from distance. Well, it's still standing today, but it looks kind of different. So it was partially destroyed, but we had to reconstruct it with our historian, Joanna. And one thing in the game, which you will see then in the final game, of course already right now in the beta, is that we have a special, let's say, armor and weapon system. One thing is the armor system, the different layers you can put on, which we will talk about later. But another thing is that you have different types of weapons, of course, and these weapons can get destroyed. They can get blunt. So if you have a sharp sword, the more you use it, the blunter it gets, and you have to take care of it, right? So because if you have, let's say, and that's something you can see here, if we go to the grindstone and use it, we have a bastard sword, but the bastard sword is just on 50% health. That's what you can see here. And this pretty much means that it's 50% effective, meaning that all your hits are just half as strong as they would be.
It's not as linear as that, but the quality of the weapon enters all the equation, so it's dealing less damage, and it might be even ineffective at some point.
Yes, and you have to take care about it, because otherwise it's useless. And what would you do with a useless sword, right? So you have the grinding mechanics here. I'm right now playing with the stick, so you can go left, right, up and down. You have to change the angle of attack. And with the bottom, with the left button shoulder, I'm turning the wheel. You can see on the bottom that even it affects my stamina, so I can't push it eternally. I have to control my energy somehow. And with the right button, I'm pushing the sword against the grindstone.
Yeah. So there's a lot of. This is basically a dexterity minigame with the controls. You have to keep track of a lot of things, and that have to be in balance. So you need the sword to have the right angle against the grindstone, and then you have to use the pedal at the bottom while you still have your stamina, so you have to manage your stamina. And if you're doing well enough, the quality of the weapon gets increased. If you can't even actually be so bad at this, that you end up with a weapon that's in a worse state than the one that you started with.
And black smoke is coming up, so that's
not a good sign.
That's a bad sign. So I would just stop here, take my blunt weapon, take a look, and it's on 45. So
not very good.
I sharpened it and then destroyed it again. So that's how you not to do it. So okay, let's enter the monastery. That's the monastery you can, as I said, visit today. It's around 50 kilometers south of Prague, of our studio in Czech Republic. The interesting thing is that all the buildings we have in the game, and nearly all of the NPCs are real historical persons. So this building, for example, like any other building in the game, is something that really stood there in the year 1403. So even wooden barns or small shelters or something are at least kind of recreated buildings of the medieval times, of the
like as precisely as we can. We tried to stay authentic to what the building and what the monastery itself and the outskirts around it looked like. So this is pretty much how this place looked like in real world in 1403.
Today there's an ugly iron fence here. There's no stone at all. This is destroyed. The buildings look kind of different. There's there's a big some kind of mountain thing here. There's a big city, so it looks kind of different. But something that looks exactly like it looks today is the inside. No, not the wooden parts, but the stone parts. So today there's a ticket shop here, so you can buy a ticket to enter the monastery and take a look. But this is exactly as it looked in the year 1403. So again, this build was made for presentation purposes. So there's a lot of things we skipped here. The big questing we started in the beginning. You can't. Actually,
obviously, it wouldn't be this easy to enter.
It's not that easy, of course. So you have all the questing we skipped here. We didn't talk to the two guys in the front who were drinking beer. We already have the permission list, so that's something we skipped for the presentation to make this all quicker. And this funny guy here is something like the monk boss. So we have to. Well, it's an RPG in the end, so we have to convince this guy, of course, that we are Karl, but he says something like, well, Karl is a bit smaller than you, but it's an RPG, so with our speech skill, again, we can
persuade him into actually believing that we are the person that he is expecting.
Sometimes you see 2 times well, if you in the beta, you can see this already. Sometimes you have 2 options to persuade someone. Maybe you can
there's a lot of options that you can get in dialogues regarding special branches that are unlocked only through a particular skill check or maybe through some sort of test against your skill. So maybe some people are able to tell you more or give you a special hint if you're able to persuade them or intimidate them or impress them or maybe bribe them. And sometimes there may even be, as Tobi was saying, there even may be several options using the same skill check. So there may be 2 options to persuade a person, and the way for you to choose the better one is sort of to actually listen to the dialogue and understand the context and pick the right approach, the right question that might work on this person based on what you heard in the dialogue already.
Someone from Croatia indifferent is missing me. Hi to Croatia. I miss you too. So okay, we as I said, we skipped a lot of parts, and now we crashed the games. So that's awesome.
That just happens.
Now you can tell some jokes. How about that?
Well, I don't know, but we can answer some questions from the audience maybe.
That's a good idea.
Start again.
That's a good idea. So where are my papers? There are my
there's mine. Yeah. There you go.
So we have, of course, questions from the community. We gathered before. Our community manager Chris was very eager to find them, and we have several questions here. So, will there be mounted combat in the game?
Partially, yes. So there are some parts of it implemented in the game already. So if you're standing on a horse, you can actually use a free attack to hit enemies on the ground, or anyone that you're able to hit from a horseback. We do want to expand on this, but we're still not sure how much of what we're going to make we'll be able to put in the first act, but we have a lot of ideas that maybe we'll just have to postpone for the second act. There's a mechanic for putting people down from the horse, so that's something that the NPCs might be able to try to do to you, and also something that you will be able to do to NPCs that are on horseback. You might want to just pull them down from the horse so that you can engage them on foot.
And that's actually really cool, because we are right now creating a new video, which is a secret, so I'm not supposed to tell you, but we are creating a new video about the weapon system in the game and different gameplay mechanics. And we already have very cool, still not implemented, but already prepared, very cool animations for, as you said, pulling someone down off the pushing and pulling someone off the horse. And this works best with the next question. What about pole arms?
All right, pole arms. So that's a question that we're getting a lot. So we're happy to say that we will be able to get halberds into the first act.
And that's actually a good thing, because in game development, it's not always only bad news. There are also
we actually have the time to put the pole arms in. So we're as happy about that as you are.
Yeah, because we in the first we said we want to have them. Then we
goes up and down all the time.
Yes, but we had to unfortunately
postpone. Yeah.
let's say postpone it, and now finally they're in. So that's a good thing.
There's a lot of design decisions that we had to make specifically regarding to polearm. So, for example, usually you're just, and we're still sort of thinking about those. So, for example, right now you have in your inventory you have a slot for a main weapon, so that's usually a sword, and you have also a slot for a shooting weapon, so that's the bow. And we wanted you to be able to carry a halberd in addition to these two, but then again we don't have a slot in the inventory for that purpose. We also had to solve issues of how would you actually look sort of carrying all the stuff around. But maybe polearm is something that you're just able to carry in your hands. You aren't able to holster it. You just sort of pick it up somewhere, then you carry it around when you need it, and then you just drop it off. So we still need to think about a couple of these issues, but that's a challenging design that we'll obviously be able to solve. Yeah, but we do have the combat with the halberd already, so the hard part is over, like the assets and the combat system.
And now we are finally in the monastery. Whee!
Nice.
So again, as I said, we skipped a lot of things, but we kind of chosen the peaceful way, meaning that we enrolled in the monastery, and this means for us that we actually have to become a monk. So this will kind of isolate you from the outer world, because you have to give all your belongings to the monastery. As you can see, you have nothing, just some panties, shoes, and a hood. That's it. And we are now in the monastery, and since we have to, again, don't forget that we have to find that particular guy, we have to pretend that we are actually a monk, we have to do monk duties, and we have to live the monk life to actually find that particular guy, because as you remember, we've searched for that guy with the scar in the face. But this requires that we also pray with the monks, eat with the monks. But tell us more about it.
All right, I don't want to spoil too much, because I think that this is one of the most interesting parts of our gameplay, but basically what Tobi was saying. So right now our main objective is to find a guy that we are looking for who's living in the monastery. He's pretending to be a monk. He's not really a monk. He is playing the same game that we are. So he's hiding in the monastery because it seems to be a safe place, and we are doing exactly the same, just for different reasons. So we are pretending that we actually belong to the monastery, and we can't get discovered. So that means that we need to do all the stuff that all the other monks are doing. So I don't want to get too much into that, but we sort of have to actually follow their lifestyle and follow the usual daily cycles, and we put a lot of effort into making this particular section of game fun. I can't wait for you guys to play.
We also have even more. This is an older version of the game. The monastery already is completely colored here from the inside, so expect a lot of beautiful wall paintings here. We have a sneak peek already in another building we are flying to later, but that's already a nice thing.
There's frescoes everywhere.
But another awesome thing is the feature that you will be actually doing inside the monastery, because what did medieval, what was the job? What was the monk job actually next to praying? It was working with books, right?
And a lot of other stuff as well. So as Tobi was saying earlier, the monastery was actually a very sustainable kind of community. So this wasn't some kind of religious institution that would be dependent on, I don't know, the support of the king or anything like that. Like, they were very effective at actually producing their own stuff. So you saw the vineyards around the monastery and the orchards. There's a lot of books in the monastery, because this is also where books were actually sort of produced. You couldn't print a new book at the time. You had to transcribe a new book by copying another the book that you already had. So that's one of the things that you will have to do if you want to pretend that you belong in this monastery, and that's something that we would be doing just around these quarters.
Don't get a false impression. Right now they are not there. You maybe think there's no one inside this monastery. That's right.
Yep.
One thing is that they are praying right now, as you saw. We wanted them to be in the church for the presentation. But the other thing is that in this build, of course, there will be way more people later in the game. This was just for presentation
also
purposes.
Just around the monastery, there's obviously going to be much more lively.
Here's
well.
a alchemy table. You remember the alchemy from the alpha and the beta, so you can do different potions and poisons even. So that's something you can do as well. And there's a funny thing exactly because you said that with the books you can actually learn to read here in the monastery. Right?
That's true as well. So we again, reading was not as common as you might think in 1403. It wasn't something that common people like Henry, who we are playing, would know just by living as a son of a blacksmith in a village somewhere. So obviously the monks needed to read in order to be able to maintain the library in the monastery. And well, reading is a very useful skill. So we might be able to use it for like a lot of things outside of the monastery as well. And this is a good place to pick it up.
Funny thing is, if you learn to read and you don't have the reading skill and you just open a book, you will see the words, you will see different letters, but they will be scrambled. But the fun thing is that the letters you can see are the real words.
Those are the actual letters in the game, but they're just shuffled around, and it depends. It's like as a lot of things in our game, it's under the hood. It's driven by a very sophisticated RPG system. So don't get confused by our very lean UI. You can't see a lot of numbers just looking at the screen, because we want you to be immersed in the great visuals that our visual artists put together. But under the hood there's a lot of RPG. So for example, if you pick up a book, we calculate based on your reading skill, we calculate how much you are able to understand, and we shuffle the letters around, maybe just slightly, maybe a lot. I think that's great fun.
Another funny thing is that in 1403 the monastery was not finished yet. It was under construction. So we also have a medieval construction site here. And this funny wheel on the top looks like a hamster wheel, and actually there was really a guy standing inside, running back and forth to make this crane go up and down. Oops, sorry sir.
Right.
And they were building this monastery in the year 1403, and of course, as I said, we also have a construction site. We can play Assassin's C 1403. There are letters here, so we can climb up, but let's do it.
But we shouldn't do that.
We shouldn't do that, because we could disrupt them from working. Hello, sir.
And also blow our cover.
Yes. Still, right, we are a monk, of course. We are on our working as a monk right now.
We're not supposed to climb.
Exactly. We are supposed to stand here and turn around. Why? Because A, it's a nice scenic view. And the other thing is, we really, kind of recreated this building, because our 2D and 3D graphics were going to those places, not only the monastery, to nearly all the buildings we have in the game, and they are reconstructing these. We took pictures there, we talked to the people there, and if you visit the monastery, you can see exactly like this. They wanted to build a church here, they wanted to build a second tower here, but it was never finished because of the Hussite Wars, which break out a few years later. And the only thing that's different today, because you maybe saw it from the screenshots before, the only thing that's different today is that today on top here is a watch, a big clock.
There's a clock.
But in 1403, time was not invented yet. So we had to remove it, and but
because it wasn't there,
of course.
So,
but the people who are working there today in Sazava, in this monastery, they are really happy about this project. All of the people who are taking care of these buildings, because we are working closely with universities and museums, and we are reconstructing a 16 square kilometers map of medieval Bohemia, and I think no one else can No other game has such a level of detail. For example, today there's a big hole here, so there's nothing. This church is completely destroyed. The only thing is
there's a secret.
There was a secret magic door. Well. Don't use the magic door. You don't know where you can end up. And
you didn't see anything.
Yes, you didn't see anything. And so let's go to the next stop, to the next station. How convenient. Since we are a monk and lost all our stuff, as you said, you see that we don't wear anything, just undies, shoes and a hood. How convenient it is that there's a chest and a lockpick in front of it. So what a surprise.
Easy life.
Easy life. We should combine both and see what happens. Okay. Because again, you can see another gameplay, as like the grinding minigame.
Yeah.
We want that the player actually do something in order to get something, so you have to do a slightly well, you have to do the lock picking manually to actually open the lock. And if you look closely in the back, if I'm poking inside the lock, you see that Henry is moving his hands, so it's also adding to the immersion. And if I don't do anything, the hands are steady, so that's very nice. And the lock picking works that I have to find the sweet spot. So with the right stick, I'm playing on an Xbox controller because I like PlayStation, but because I think this game works perfectly with the controller. With the right stick, I'm searching for the sweet spot, which is indicated by this yellow dot here, and with the left stick, I will now have to turn the lock. But the tricky part is that with the right stick, I have to remain in this part while turning both sticks. But the tricky thing is that the sticks are moving in a different speed. But I opened so many locks that I should. Yeah. I should open it.
Again, it's a dexterity minigame.
Exactly. The more often you do it, the better you get. And how awesome it is that we find some weapons inside. Mm-hmm. So let's take, what do you like? I will take the bastard sword.
Alright.
My favorite weapon. And we have some dummies here. Some poor fellows who will not attack us. They are just here for presentation purposes again. Dummies. But it's interesting because those two guys, this right guy and the left guy, both are in full plate armor, and the left guy has some kind of other armor, but we doesn't care what they actually wear. So
studded leather.
Because we want to show you something. So I will equip my bastard sword. And what's happening now? I have a sharp weapon, a bastard sword, of course, and it's this guy here is in full plate armor. So a full plate armor soldier back then, correct me if I'm wrong, is something like a medieval tank. So of course they wear medieval armor because they wanted to be protected by swords and sharp weapons. And we have the same here in the game, because we are calculating the physical collision between your weapon and the particular piece of armor you're striking. And full plate armor, since he's wearing a full plate armor set, is very good against sharp weapons, so I can pretty much bash him and beat him and stab him and push him and do everything, and he will survive. There will be the point somewhere where he goes down, but still he gets 20 hits or something and is still on his feet, and that's well, like every sportsman out there, or every medieval martial arts fighter or something, every medieval fighter or every martial arts fighter is supposed to be a lazy
Maybe
guy.
I'll just break this down so that it's clear what we are saying. So first of all, our combat system is driven by the physics engine. So when Tobi is hitting the guy, what we're actually looking for are the physical collision of our weapon against the guy, sort of physically. So we know exactly when we hit him, we know exactly which part of the body did we hit. We know exactly how much force our weapon had at the moment. So we know how fast it was moving, we know the angle of the strike. And we're using all of these, as well as the RPG, like your fencing skill, his fencing skill, stuff like that, to calculate the collision. And one of the most important things that we are sort of considering in this equation is the type of our weapon. So as Tobi was saying, this is a slashing weapon, and he's wearing plate armor, so that's entering the equation in a huge way. So Tobi, I think, is going to talk more about it.
Because right now, and that's what I meant with we don't care what type of armor he's wearing.
Okay.
If we take a look at this guy, he could wear whatever he wants, but he has no he has no helmet. And since we have the star model, you know it from the combat, you know that from the beta already and the alpha as well, that you can change the angle of attacks. This makes sense now. Why? Because you are attacking the particular spot, the weak spot actually. And this guy has no helmet, so it would make totally sense to attack his head. So he survived one hit, and the second hit, and he's down. And that's the point here, because all those guys have the same amount of health, all of them.
Yeah.
It's just the piece of armor they're protected from or with. So, and if we take a look, we have we have 6 slots for the body armor, we have 4 slots for the leg armor, 4 slots for the head armor, and 2 rings and spore. So these are not kind of protecting you, they're more for reputation, but the rest of these things are affecting your
defensive equipment.
Defensive equipment, exactly. But another interesting thing is that most of them will of course help you with protecting you, but some of them even might have an impact on your reputation.
Of course, not necessarily reputation, but they do enter into equation whenever you're interacting with people, and in a lot of ways actually. So for each piece of clothing that you can wear, we have several attributes, such as how impressive it is. So maybe you try to impress someone in a dialogue, saying that you're some sort of highborn or an aristocrat, and obviously in order to pull that off you need to be wearing the appropriate clothes. We also know how visible that piece of clothing is and how conspicuous it is, which affects the distance at which you will be enemies will be able to see you, and friends actually as well, and the rate at which they will be able to recognize you. We know how noisy it is. So if you're going for a stealth approach, there's definitely some clothing that you want to prefer in order to be less visible, less conspicuous, less noisy. There's obviously the armor statistic, which drives how much damage.
And you can see this here in your inventory. So these gauntlets, which I'm not wearing, would increase my armor, but I will be louder. Or I don't know, the white gambeson will again increase my body armor, but I will be slower.
Yeah,
so
they can actually be heavy as well.
Exactly.
Which means that you're slower.
Yes, and with this, since we have this slot system, you can completely customize your part of armor. And the tricky part is that those slots actually are different layers. So if you have this one is, for example, a shirt, then you wear a gambeson, then you wear a plate armor, for example, some gloves, some sleeves, some shoes, and you have to layer them over each other. And again, as I said, we are just calculating the particular part you're hitting. So if this guy is completely naked, wearing just a helmet, a plate helmet, and I'm hitting him with my sword against the helmet, he will survive 20 hits, for example. But if I poke him in the stomach, he's dead.
There's no armor there. And also, I think a very cool feature of this system is that we are only so for impressing people, for just the way that people perceive you, we're only calculating this stuff on the top layer. So if you're wearing a very nice shirt, but you're wearing a plate armor over it, that's obviously not going to count towards your charisma. You can't impress people with stuff they can't see, right? So that's actually taken care of in our system.
So we looted a mace from the poor fellow we killed, and the mace is a blunt weapon. And why have I taken this? A, because he has it, and B, because the armor system works a bit like a stone paper scissors system, where you have different types of armor or different types of weapons which are good against different types of armor. So we have a mace, which is a blunt weapon, and blunt weapons are pretty good against full plate armor. Why? Because we are pretty much crashing him inside his tin and bashing him to death. And the funny thing is that if we attack one particular spot, for example the head or the helmet in this case, you will penetrate not only the outer layer, but also all layers beneath it. So if we attack the helmet, for example, it will check, of course, as you said, the helmet properties, the helmet armor, then the cap armor or whatever you have, and the combined number will be then in
so
the
for
inventory.
defense purposes, obviously everything you're wearing counts.
And the more you hit at a particular spot, the less weak this particular spot. 5 hits or 4 hits, I didn't count.
And there you go.
And there you go. Poor fellow is dead. So you can see that he was still alive, or is still alive. He's already dead. So with the mace, we crashed him to death pretty quick. Well, he went down by 1 hit because, well, it's a full plate armor. You're not getting down after 1 hit, but he went down after 4 hits or 5 hits. So that's the point again. And as I said, the more if you, for example, attack the helmet, and it get destroyed a bit, because we have also a destruction system where your piece of armor can get destroyed. You can have even a visible feedback, not only a number in your inventory, but you can also see that there's a crack, that it's broken a bit. If you attack it again, the hit might be stronger than the hit before, and if you attack it again, it might be even harder and harder and harder.
So for example, if you loot him afterwards, you will be able to see that the pieces of armor that you hit will actually be more destroyed than the pieces of armor that you didn't hit. So
exactly.
It works. We don't cheat.
So, scenic view again. Let's put our maze away. That's it. Scenic view again, and we are now flying. To the next location. First, I was told that the music is a bit too loud, so let's change that. Music down, sound down, video, there is no video. Apply changes, yes. back. So let's hope it will be nicer for your ears right now. And now,
Let's fly away.
scenic view. We will now fly into the next location. The next location is called Ratai. And Ratai has, well, it's the biggest city in the game. And Ratai was interesting because of several reasons. One of the reasons is that it had actually 2 castles. So there was an upper castle and a lower castle. And we will now fly into the upper castle, which will be or is the castle of our Liege Lord. So this is very important for the quest, and we will take a look there. That's a kind of regular lighting system, what you can see here, something you might be used to, and that's now our way. Global illumination, total illumination, depends on how you want to call it, and it adds, and that's my favorite part, 50 shades of grey. But yeah, it gives you different grey shades, and even a particular poorly lit areas look very good with it. And here,
but let's just look at the tapestry and the frescoes and like just the interior. I just think this is
just look
beautiful, just to walk around. So let's just appreciate it. This is how the interior of the monastery is supposed to look, and is actually looking in our game already. It's
but with different paintings, with
obviously
monastery
with
and church paintings. Of course.
Yeah, again, we're trying to stay true to what you would, not what you would see, but what actually was there. So these are based on research, and there was a lot of effort put into those.
And we, as you said, a lot of effort. Of course, we are really detailed even with the painting. So we have a guy here called Pavel. Hello, Pavel. And Pavel is a painter who is actually hand painting all these
classical
things.
painter.
He's a classical painter. And that's funny because he's used to regular painting. So he's regular painting on linen. But he is so good on the digital pad that we chained him to the chair. And he will now forever... paint pictures for us, because this is just...
That's just beautiful.
Well, he painted it in the year 2016, but it looks like a picture from 1403. So this is like really skill over 9,000.
And we can see it sort of a battle or a tournament. It looks like a tournament, so that's something that...
that's actually a battle, good fellow. That's a battle because it's in front of the castle walls. I can't tell you well.
Who are the guys like on the
spectators?
Fans.
No, there's some kind of battle scene here. Okay. Good guys against bad guys. Well, don't ask me exactly. Joanna, our historian, will tell you. But this person here, that's the important one, because that's the Lord of Leip, and he's your Liege Lord, the Liege Lord of Henry, of our character. And he will give us several quests, of course, in the game, and we will be with him, and he will be a very, very important person in the game. And you will
I didn't know that was him.
Well, the funny thing is that he really lived. So this is someone who really lived in the year 1403, and he really did all those things he will be doing in our game. And the things you are granted with, some of the tasks or quests, actually happened in history, and you have to do them. So that's a really, really cool thing, as I think. So here we have the coat of arms of the house. So even if you open Wikipedia or something, you might find these guys here. Really, really cool. In Germany, we have actually a bank, and maybe in Austria and Switzerland as well. It's called Raiffeisen. Oh, it's in Czech as well. Raiffeisenbank.
Yeah.
Looks like it, right?
Why do you? Does it remind you of Raiffeisenbank?
Raiffeisenbank, Baden-Württemberg, and Porsche.
Maybe.
So these three things are something I think about when I see this. Yeah, very nice. We have beds as well. You can sit on different things. You can sleep there inside. You can regenerate energy inside. It gives you a reading bonus. So if
it gives you a reading bonus. But obviously people will get suspicious of you if you're running around in their private quarters. That's something that we implemented since E3 pretty much, a sort of a trespass system when people actually notice you if you're somewhere where you're not supposed to be, and depending on how well do they know you and how private the area that you're being caught in is, they react to you by either calling guards or maybe engaging you in a fight, or maybe just asking you if you're looking for something. So that's what would be happening if you would be running around these quarters in the actual game.
What's happening here? Nothing. So what's happening here? Here on the bottom we see a tournament situation, but there are no fighters yet. They will be coming soon, I guess. Tournaments are something that will happen throughout the game. There will be different tournaments, something like a tournament mode. There will be fighting tournaments like this one we will enter in a few seconds. There will be archery tournaments where you have to show your bow skills. There will be horse riding tournaments where you have to race with your horse. Very cool. And these fighting tournaments. And you can, of course, enroll. You can take part of it. You can be there. You can fight there.
Yep.
They're really AI fighting each other, so you can even bet money on them, on competitor 1 or competitor B. The funny thing is you can bet like on yourself, of course, and win. Yeah. Or you can bet against yourself and lose on purpose.
Yeah, so that's just one of the small touches. But I think it's representative for what you're trying to do. So, as Tobi was saying, the tournament is going on. You can just observe the tournament. You can bet on people. And it will actually all make sense. So we will put those guys that you see around here against each other, and it's not prescripted in any way. We will just sort of let their combat AI beat each other. So if you're able to see that one of them is wearing a mace and another is wearing a plate armor, you might be able to guess who's going to win. And if that's a good guess, it will actually pay off. But the thing that Tobi was saying is that you're able to enter the tournament as well. And then obviously you can bet on yourself or against yourself. And an obvious exploit is that you might want to bet against yourself and then lose on purpose. And obviously that was the first thing that everybody tried in the studio. So what we did is that we detect those situations, and sometimes if you do that, people will come up to you and say, hey, that's not fair, and it's sort of a crime. And that's just one of the small things that we're watching out for, and we think that it's a great touch, because if you feel like the game is watching, you're not sure what's everything that it's watching for. So,
but you can also use this situation, the entire tournament situation, for your advantage, because tournaments attracted a lot of people back then.
Yeah.
So obviously a lot of town folk will be there.
Yeah.
Which means that they're not at home. Which means that you can rob their places.
Yeah. So these are kinds of things that just happen without not necessarily like being thought of in advance. So what these people are not just some sort of spawned NPCs. These people are people who actually live in Ratai. And as Tobi is saying, like if they're here, they're not in their homes, or they're not guarding their shops in the city. So this might also be a good opportunity for you to just try to loot their homes, or maybe shop without the merchant being there.
Or you can even if you have a quest where you, for example, have to kill someone. Let's say you have to kill someone, and he's on a crowded area where a lot of people are running through. You can use the situation because people might be here, or because the tournament has different stages. If you win, you get to the final round. In the final rounds, even royal people might come. So maybe this might be
there's a lot of emergent gameplay happening in these scenarios, and that's definitely what we're aiming for, and we're happy for those to actually happen.
So I took a weapon, and now we are about to choose armor type. We have the light armor, the medium armor, and the heavy armor. These are armor sets which we are just taking, but that's not like it will be in the final game. The thing is, please take a close look at the shadow, because you will see in a second how our layering system works, and that it actually really layers over, like physically really layers over each other. It's not some bullshit we are coming up with, but it's something that really happens. So take a look at the shadow now. Zip. And you see that different types of armor were just really quickly layering over each other, and we can see that in our inventory now. So we have, on the bottom, we have from a regular shirt to a gambeson to some kind of full plate armor with a hood over it. That's the thing on our shoulders. With some gloves, with some sleeves, some undies, some gambesons for the feet, some plate armor for your feet. No shoes for some reason.
Oh, why don't you have
because the scripters forgot to give me some shoes. A helmet, and that's a mistake again, no soft part under your helmet. So this way, the blunt weapons would be even more, even deadlier, even more dangerous for us than they are anyway. Because with the layering system, and that's the thing, we are using different types of materials which you can layer over each other. So on the bottom you put something soft, because it softens the blunt, blows.
Yeah.
If you put more soft things, it will even more soften the blunt blows, of course. But then you will be very vulnerable for
Slashing attacks.
slashing attacks, exactly. So you have to put something hard on top. And if you combine them in a smart way, you can get those numbers here, and this is the combined number of your 6 slots here. So the body armor are these 6 slots combined. 4 slots here. The arm armor are those 2 slots. The head armor are those 2 slots, and so on and so on. And you have different types of attacks, which you can see here: the stabbing, the slashing, and the blunt attacks. And if you combine it smart, customize your soldier the way you want it, you can create your perfect defense, let's say. And that makes sense, because you have to always think about where am I going to go? Who is my opponent? Who will I fight with? Which type of weapons might they have? And if it's some kind of armor, some bandit, for example, bandits might have some soft armor, so take a sword. On the other hand, bandits have maces.
And then you should have blunt weapons.
So rather also take something soft, and with this you can combine that's what we want in the game. We want you to think about every decision you do. So it's not only the choices you have to do, like if you have to intimidate someone, if you have to do some persuasion or something. It's also, before you enter a fight, you should always think about, can I actually take these guys down? Do I have the right equipment? Is it in good shape? Did I sharpen my sword? Is my armor in a good shape? Do I have the right armor type? And so on and so on. Okay, so we will now enter the fight. I have a sword, I have a full plate armor, this guy have some soft body armor and a full plate helmet, so what shouldn't we attack? Of course we shouldn't attack the head, and the arms are also in full plate armor. Of course it's a fight, and in a fight of course there's a lot of action and it's fast and quick. You can't always aim for the right spot, it's not possible. It's like, you see what's happening here, so I have to, it's a lot intuitive and a lot of reaction what you have to do here, but you can try if you take your time. If you go down, take a step back, take a look on your opponent. Okay, let's try to hit on this right shoulder. No, he's faster than me. Block, zack, and block again. Go back because I'm out of stamina. Without stamina, I can't attack, I can't block, I can't do anything. It's, even though we know that his head is well protected against swords, we can attack anyway because it might shake him. He might get out of balance. We can use all these parts. We can, if we have those 5 different zones plus stabbing. So that was not good. If we combine them right, we can execute combos. We can throw him on the ground. We can do half sword techniques, pommel striking. If we would have a shield, we can even shield strike him. And talking and not taking.
Just pay attention to the fight. I mean, what Tobi is saying is that, and I really like that about our combat system itself, and also about the way that it's tied to all the other mechanics, is that there's several stages of sort of having to use your reflexes and sort of your action skill, and also having to play smart. So, for example, even before a fight, there's a lot of advantages that we could get just by equipping the right stuff, depending on who our opponent is. Thinking about where is the best sort of zone to attack him. Then even within the fight itself, there's these sort of slower phases when you're catching your breath, you're thinking about, so what's his stamina, so should I attack him right now, should I maybe manage my stamina, refresh it a little bit more, maybe try to see, because as we were saying before, you can see visually. Well done, Tobi, nice one. So you can see visually where his armor is broken, so maybe that's a good hint as well. And then it enters into these very hectic and very action sequences, and then you just have to rely on your instinct and think very quickly on your feet. I think that's a great balance of action and strategy.
Okay, so I've won the first battle. Now the tournament would go on. There will be the next striker coming on. Again, take a look. He will have a shield, so maybe we can take a look on that first. Sure. But then I would say that's pretty much it. I have some more community questions. Yeah. We have Christian, our community manager, who was already answering a lot of questions, but he should send me also some questions on Skype, so I can take a look on them in a second. And Yeah, so let's try to bash him one more time before he kills me. Of course, he has a shield and a short sword, so the short sword is, of course, shorter, so he has to come closer to me to attack, but he's way better in defense than me. Every block he makes can totally shake me and bring me out of balance, so that's a nice thing, but I will just say, I will let him alive.
All right.
Let's say it like this.
Merciful of you.
Yes. Okay. So this was the special build we wanted to show you. That's what we showed at E3 in Los Angeles. We hope that you like what you saw. Let's take a look on some questions we have here. Well, mouse and keyboard. Someone says that mouse and keyboard is a thing. Of course, it works
for the win.
It also works very well with mouse and keyboard, even the fighting. But well, I'm a consolero, so I'm used to it.
It works very well on keyboard and mouse.
Yes.
It works.
What do you prefer, actually, the keyboard?
I personally prefer to play it on a controller. I think it just
our
direction pad.
Our
just works
US community manager Rick, he had
for the combat.
he was with me at E3 and he was supposed to play it with the gamepad because there was limited space, and he was totally mad about it. He was totally well, he learned it after 3 days of showing. He learned it, and he was really good at it. Hi Rick.
Sure.
But
it's very intuitive to pick up.
Yeah.
I think that's a very good sign.
Okay, so what do a lot of things were already answered in our small stream, but here, for example, one question very interesting: will there be firearms, and can we craft gunpowder and alchemy? That's actually a nice and interesting question, because a lot of people maybe don't know that the first firearms actually used, let's say, in a bigger scale in combat, in combats and fights, was actually Bohemian battlegrounds. So Bohemian people, or the Hussites, were one of the first people who actually used them on a bigger scale in Europe. I guess they were already in use in China or in different places, but in Europe, on European battlegrounds, they were one of the first actual places where they used them. The word, how you, nearly in every language, pistole in German, pistol in English, pistola or pistole in Czech Republic. Well, the first gunpowder firearm which were used in these battles was called pistola. Pistola means flute, and it looked like a flute, and it made a special sound. They always had to aim up, because the bullet will otherwise fall out of the rifle. The rifleist, the guy who was actually using it, was under constant danger, because this thing just could explode in his hands. But to answer the questions, no, we will unfortunately not have it in Kingdom Come Deliverance. But never say never, and we will do time jumps once we release the next game, Kingdom Come 2, or let's think about a better name. Then we might add these, of course. We have unlimited options for KCD 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And of course, and that's a big thing, Kingdom Come Deliverance is in 1403. The next one might have a time jump, so of course, new things, features that that couldn't find its way into Kingdom Come right now might find it, or will find the way in Kingdom Come 2. So most of the features that you might miss in Kingdom Come 1 will appear in the next part.
We miss them too, so we want them to be in the game.
But it's always a question of time and money and
priorities.
And we want to release it, you want to play it, so we had to come up with a good combination. But right now, I think Kingdom Come Deliverance shapes extremely well. We have, of course, it's under a hidden blanket right now in our studio, but it will be awesome.
We're trying to concentrate on sort of less features to be able to deliver them in the quality that we want to deliver them in. So, as Tobi was saying, probably in second act or maybe later.
Something we kind of saw in the battle in the tournament: can the AI enemy surrender?
All right. Okay. So that's a good
question.
question. So again, this is driven by a quite sophisticated RPG system. So one of the states that we track for each NPC is his morale. So each NPC has some sort of base courage. So obviously the nobles are going to be braver than the general folk, or maybe the more fragile people, like Yeah. So there's a base courage, which is then modified by a lot of stuff. So for example, you obviously feel braver if you're wearing good equipment, if you're well equipped for combat at the moment, if you have a weapon with you. And they also based on your health. So for example, if you're hurt, then your morale is definitely lower, and you're probably going to be acting in a more cowardly way. So we track this for every NPC in the game, and it's also driven by your actions. So if you perform a particularly good or sort of impressive trick in combat, so maybe you perfect block someone, you riposte someone, you execute a combo successfully, then this is something that will also drop their morale for a very short while. So if your opponent's morale drops too low, then he might actually surrender to you. So that's something that we're working on in these weeks, and this is going to be probably done through the dialogue system. So he's going to get out of the fight, he'll drop his weapon, and as soon as you finish all of his allies, then you might be able to talk to him, capture him, sort of lead him to custody somewhere maybe. And this he might run away if you don't pay attention.
This kind of already works in the beta, because if you remember, if you find Riki's cave and the bandits are approaching and you kill, like let's say their commander or their troop leader, the others might run away.
So it was in the beta as well, so people would start to flee. We did have morale in beta already, so based on the morale, people would just drop their weapon and run away. And what we are trying to mix this with is that somehow sometimes they will run away, sometimes they will just drop their weapon and beg for your mercy and surrender to you. So that's something that we want to have in the game, and that we'll have in the game.
So let's say, interesting question here. Will there be more blood and gore in the game? That's also something I can see here in the Twitch chat. Well, no, we won't have cutting of limbs. We won't have big gore. We don't have. Well, we have blood already. It's a visual feedback you get from the armor of the opponent, since you don't have a health bar. Sorry, you will always see on his armor how he's feeling. He will have different animations. He will be humping, limping. I don't know. He will have big problems. He will be humping, of course.
He'll be limping, yeah.
And you can see this on his armor, but we won't have any huge gore thing. But well,
it's just something that would cost us a lot of development effort. So obviously we would have to treat a lot of very extraordinary situations, and we just decided that this is just something that we don't necessarily want to portray. We wanted to concentrate on other stuff. So no, you aren't able to do it, and we don't think it's important or that it's missing from our vision of the game.
Okay, last question. Will the beta be updated anymore? And that's unfortunately a no. The beta will remain as it is. We are now just and only focusing on finishing the game, and we are now in the polishing state. We have to put everything together, and we could do it, but then it would extend the time we need for releasing the game. So it's something for something, of course. So on one hand, you unfortunately have to remain a bit longer in the current beta, but on the other hand, the final game will come earlier. So I think that's something I could live with. I hope you do, you too. So thank you very much for taking part, for joining our stream. I hope you like what you saw, and see you next time. So where is the stop streaming button? There.
Take care, guys.
Bye.